Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Action Man, the CGI Fox Kids one that came out in 2000. Not to be mistaken with the 1995 one that came out prior. Now, when I was growing up, well actually, I was probably about 17, going on 18 around that time when this series came out. And I love watching like action stuff, superhero stuff. I was hooked on Fox Kids. So when I saw the promo for this, I'm like, cool, man. Like, let's do this thing, right? And I remember when this came out, I think this was probably like the first real CGI like animated series I ever watched. They had something prior to that. I forgot what it was. I think it was called Beast Transformers or something like that. I never liked that. I never watched it. I did not like the CGI on that. I had no idea it was related to the Transformers franchise, but that's kind of neat knowing that now. And so, the animation on this is not bad. Like, it was cutting edge of its time. It's not perfect in comparison today, but, it's a little crude, it's a little sharp, it's a little brightly colored, but for the most part, it's really nice. Especially when it gets to, like, the action scenes. And my God, the intro. The intro always had me pumped. It was like, amp it up, Action Man. Amp it up, Action Man. Greatest hero of them all. Action Man. I was like, yeah, every time. But to tell you the truth, the series kind of didn't really do it for me. Like, it was an okay series. It was pretty all right. But it never had me hooked the way that like X-Men, the animated series, or Batman, Spider-Man, none of those cartoon series, And so, like, it's a decent cartoon series. You can watch it and have a great time. But it just always felt strange to me. And plus the characters, the side characters. I hated every side character they gave him. I could not stand them at all, especially the girl. What is up with cartoon series that has that annoying female sidekick? Darkwing Duck had Gosling. Something else. The X-Men series had Jubilee. What was it? Jackie Chan Adventures had Jade. I mean, they always had that annoying like female character that really gets on my nerves. But for the most part, like, Action Man, he was pretty cool himself. And like I said, the action sequences were pretty cool in the intro. And he has a motto. And cause this Action Man is a little bit different from the ones that most people know. I'll get into that a little bit later. But his motto was always check it out, dial it in, and amp it up. And he would say that before he'll use like his superpower to go do something cool. Now, a little backstory on this. At this time, Fox Kids was still ran by Saban. And you can probably kind of tell a little bit, only because like this Action Man is garnered more towards a younger crowd. He's younger, he has a younger sidekick. It's more like extreme for modern day people. Extreme X games were really getting popular around that time. But this is a Canadian CGI series. But just because it's a Canadian show doesn't mean he doesn't own the rights to it. Because like I said before, this is a Fox Kids show. And at that time, he did own everything. Now, this is based off a toy line called Action Man. And the toy line lasted all the way from 1993 to 2006. Then the toy line came back around 2009. And the toy line is actually created by Hasbro. So that's kind of interesting because Hasbro now owns everything that Saban used to own when it comes to like his Fox Kids stuff. Now, 5 years prior, I had no idea whatsoever until probably like earlier this year when I was looking for Action Man on YouTube, because you can't really find it no place else. I had no idea there used to be another animated series, but in 2D animation. And the thing about that, because I haven't watched it yet, I watched the intro and I watched a little bit of it just this morning. It seems to be it's completely different, okay, from the 2000 series. Like, I mean, completely different. One thing that makes it different is 2D animation, but they swap in live action sequences every now and then. Like, it's interesting. The intro will set up what the show's about. It'll be in animation. Then halfway into the intro, it will shift into live action, and then you'll have like a man doing the stuff. And then the beginning of the episode, at least the one that I caught, the Fountain of Youth one, it has like this dude, and he's being action man. He's doing stuff. The action was lame, but the setup was really neat. And then it will shift right back into animation and stuff. And the interesting thing, now I will watch that one and I will review that one. But what's interesting about that one is that action man is more in line of like James Bond, more in line like the toy lines and the games and stuff. He's just like this he's kind of like this military dude slash James Bond type person. And he has Team Extreme, which the 2000 series has too, but his Team Extreme are like former military black ops type people. And they work for this organization. And they have kind of like this watchtower thing, like in space type thing. And every time the world is under a threat by all these bad people, mainly, what's his name? Dr. X, I think it is. Yeah, Dr. X. So they go into action and they try to stop it. It's like spy espionage, black ops type stuff. And there's more action packed from what I've seen that small clip. So I'm just kind of like, gee, why couldn't the 2000 series be like that? However, the 1995 series only lasted for one season, and the 2001 lasted for two. Now, what's interesting is that Action Man, whose name is Alex Mann, he's voiced, in both series, he's voiced by a different person named Mark. That's kind of like really interesting, you know? However, both series has like a completely different side characters. And from what I can tell about the 1995 one is that Action Man is suffering from amnesia, and he doesn't understand how he's able to do all this extreme combat hand-to-hand stuff. Now back to the other series. Now this would be a review of the first two episodes. I decided to watch the second one. I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to. I decided to watch the second one only because I want to see how he gets his powers. And because I forgot, it's been like forever since I watched this, you know. But I do remember, the only thing I ever remembered about this show was that it was CGI. I love the intro. I didn't understand why he was doing this spy espionage stuff if he does extreme sports. And I remember his friend body getting morphed into like the evil dude. And that's why I want to see in the second episode if it's going to happen. So for right now, it's the first episode I'm about to review. So this Action Man series, it ran for 2 seasons for a total of 26 episodes. And it starts off with Alex Mann. He is this young 20-something dude who does like extreme death-defying like sports stuff. Like it's so death-defying that there's no way they could ever do this in live action. Even though they did think about making a live action movie back in 2012, but they never made it. And so this dude, he has a crew called Team Extreme. And they pretty much help him train. They film his stuff. You know, he's on a big like sports channel. Like everybody just loves this dude. Like he is the boss of bosses when it comes to extreme sports. He's this really great guy. He's charismatic. He's kind. He's brave. You know, he's the typical hero type dude. And so he's accompanied by his team. Now, Desmond Sinclair, he's this black, like European sounding guy. Not sure why they went European, but then after I watched the 1995 one, I'm like, oh, okay, that Action Man has like a European voice. I guess they wanted to play off that. Agnes Fidget Wilson. I hate this character to death. She is beyond annoying. Her voice is beyond annoying. I'm just like, get rid of her, please. She's the one who's always filming his stuff, and she's kind of like his little sidekick. Ricky Bynes, he is the like manager dude. So he's your typical fast talking sleazy type manager who's always trying to make that deal, you know. But he's part of Team Extreme too. For some reason, the characters I just mentioned are in the 1995 one. They're completely absent because this is a completely different thing and all that. Now this Action Man, he has an American sounding voice. The one from the 1995 series, he has a European sounding voice, kind of almost like French. And a lot of the characters in there have foreign accents. So that's really interesting. Now, one other thing about the 1995 series is that the look of it is very different too. The look of it, think of James Bond, but with that extreme in your face 90s comic book character costume design. Like, it's out there. It's out there. So Alex, he's doing an extreme sport and he's competing. So this episode is called Competitive Edge. So he's competing with a friend of his named Brandon Cage. And Brandon Kane, not Cage, it's Kane. So Brandon, he always comes in second place when it comes to Alex, and he hates it. Doing their like competitive sport thing, he decides he's gonna cheat. So he's gonna try to slingshot himself by doing a dangerous move to get to the finish line. His team warns him don't do it, but he does it anyway. He gets close to the finish line, but the bungee jump backfires on him, and it causes him and Alex to like get entangled, and both the helicopters are getting entangled too. So they're crashing down, and as everything's looking grim, they're about to die. Suddenly, something strange happened to Alex. He has this intense look on his face, and he's just staring at like everything around him, and then suddenly everything like zones out and comes into like this void, and then all of a sudden he sees all these mathematical equations surrounding certain objects around him. And as he's constantly looking around, because it's leading him to a certain direction, and so the mathematics stuff is just leading him to a certain spot. And then so after that, he goes to that spot where it's leading him to, and then he follows the trail in which it led him to, and then he saves everybody's life. Somehow, he gained the ability of probability. He is able to look at a situation that is dire, and he is able to predict every move that will cause him to save his life. He doesn't know how he has this power. The audience don't know, because we won't find out until like another episode or so. And so when he tells everybody this, he tells them straight up that, he just started seeing math everywhere. And Fitch is all like, ew, I hate math. God, I hate that character. And so and it's really interesting. Think of it as, remember the Green Hornet movie that came out with Seth Rogen? Think of it with Kato doing that. I remember when Kato will look at something, he'll slow down time, and he'll be able to predict where things will be at and how to like fight against them. It's like that. And so, as a result, Brandon ended up getting his leg like really hurt and severe and stuff. When him and Brandon are in the hospital, they get a mysterious phone call from a man that they've never talked to before, Dr. X, and he tells them he would like to help them enhance their bodies so they'll be better than what they are. Alex shuts down this really fast, talking about, no way, man, I don't enhance. So basically, he wants to be like clean, straight edge, you know what I'm saying? But Brandon's kind of like, And so next thing you know, Alex is doing another competitive sport, and all of a sudden Brandon shows up, which is strange because Brandon's leg is messed up, and it would have taken him months to heal. And so Alex is kind of like, no, man, you didn't do it, did you? And pretty much Brandon took Dr. X's offer. So they're like, competing once again, and then something strange happens to Brandon. I forget exactly what. Something happens. Something dangerous once again happens. I still don't remember what exactly happened. Something happens. All I know is that Brandon starts freaking out. And then you can start seeing his body kind of morph and everything. And because something that, whatever the doctor put in him is having an effect on his body. Some type of metamorphosis. So Brandon runs out of there hysterical. And Alex is, something, like I remember, something bad happened. I totally forgot what happened, but something bad happened where Alex has to save the day. And so all of a sudden he gets like a call in his intercom system in his earpiece. And it's a strange voice. He's never even talked to this person before. He doesn't know who it is. And this man's telling him, use your ability, just do like you always do. And then so Alex is all like, who is this? He's like, don't worry about that right now. Just, you have to like save the day and everything. Just do what you do like you did last time. And so Alex is all like, all right, man. I'm gonna dial it up. No, wait. He said, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna dial it up. I'm gonna amp it up. And then all of a sudden, that whole math equation, probability stuff started coming again. And then he was able to save the day. When he talked to his friends, he asked them, did they hear the voice on the radio? And they all like, no, they didn't hear it. So only he could hear it and stuff. I forget who this person is. Hopefully will find out in the next episode when I watch it after this review. And so, like, that is pretty much like the premise of what this 2000 series is. It's basically just Alex and his team doing these extreme sports. And when they do the extreme sports stuff, man, it is awesome. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like the animation in this when they do it, because it's awesome. But then when the world is in danger, they send in Alex. They contact him and he goes and saves the day against all these like Legion of Doom type people and stuff. And that's why I never understood about this series and why I really didn't like get into it that much. I never understood why a person who does sports is all of a sudden this James Bond like superhero type dude. But it makes more sense when you watch the 1995 series. But when you watch this series, it's just kind of like, you know? And I remember in the second season, I believe I liked that one a bit better. I don't remember why, but I did. Now in the second season, they have kind of like this Legion of Doom type people. Because pretty much all his bad guys that he stopped, they're like, all right, let's get this dude. And so let's form a team. And so the mystery man is Coach Gray. He was Alex's coach back in high school, and Alex is furious when he finds this dude out. So he tells him basically in high school that Alex was selected with a group of other guys to be experimented on a project called the AMP project, which is why he keeps saying amp it up. So I guess that's like stuck in his head somehow. And so basically, you know, when like his blood is up and he's feeling it, you know, and like the action's going and stuff, he's able to call on this special power of probability and stuff. See, what it was is that he wanted an elite task force of people that can anticipate like certain natural disastrous events and prevent them and stuff. But then, so after Alex, I don't know what happened to the other guys, but he's been following Alex for like the longest time. And so that's why Alex has like this superpower and stuff. So basically all he has to do is just stare at something and like, you know, and then probability will take over. And it works extremely well. That's one of the highlights of this show. I love it when they do that. And especially in the second season. Now I remember why I like the second season so much. When he amps it up, he no longer says, check it out, dial it up, amp it up. Now he just shortened it to, like, he'll shout, like, amp it up. And then you start hearing, like, the Action Man theme song in the background. And, like, the probability stuff, instead of going really slow like it did in the first couple episodes in the first season, now it's, like, sped up. And it's so cool looking when it happens. It's really simple. And then when he's in the amp mode, it's almost like he moves at a different speed than everybody else. Like, it's really interesting. Like, I think basically, it's just like the whole Kato thing from the Green Hornet. He's like slowing down time in a sense. Now, as for Brandon, so in episode 2, Dr. X, he kidnaps both Alex and he kidnaps Brandon. And so he's trying to trigger Alex's little amp power. Alex still at this point doesn't know what's going on, but the doctor knows and everything. And as for, you know, Brandon, of course, he's been experimenting on. So at first he's all like, oh, I'm going to get you and blah, 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 stuff like that. So they fight their way out of there. And then throughout that episode to episode 7, Brandon has been working for Dr. X. And he's been like acting like a mole, secret agent type thing, double agent type thing towards Alex. And so in the 7th episode, it's revealed that Dr. X's body is deteriorating and he needs to transfer his brain to somebody else. And guess who it is? It's not Alex, it's Brandon. And that's why he experimented on. Those little things that he put inside his body is to help the transfer a whole lot better. So basically, Alex is trying to save his life, but he can't. And then the doctor transfers his brain into Brandon. And what's interesting is that Dr. X had one type of voice actor, and then when he went into the second body, he had a new voice actor, and I believe it's a different voice actor than that of Brandon. So it's like interesting. They got three different people to play this one role, and so with this newfound body and everything, he's ready to start doing what he always wants to do: take over the world or destroy it. Now, in the second season, they also give Action Man this little dog in the form of a robot. And he's also given more equipment when he does his like action stuff. It is kind of weird how this extreme sport dude does his extreme sport stuff during like, every other day. And then when the world's in danger, he has to like suit up into this like rubberized armor type suit and just fight like, like James Bond type people and stuff. And when he meets the coach takes him to like a laboratory. And so in the mountain, and he's all like, "This the Bat Cave" and stuff like that. And then he even makes reference to James Bond. So that's what they were going for when they did this, because that's what Action Man is basically based off of. He's kind of just like, the American version of James Bond, but without a tux and the martini. So in the final episode, the Council of Doom, wow, that's a real name. Legion of Doom, Council of Doom. Ah, boy. So Dr. X, he has rounded up all these villains that Action Man has went up against, and he has caused them to kidnap his extreme team, and he placed them all around the world. So Action Man is going all around the world to save them, and he does it in lightning speed. I don't know how. Like he can't teleport there, but yeah. So anyway. So he's like in Germany one day, and then he's in Japan a couple of like minutes later. Like, how does he do that? And so it turns out that the good old doctor wants to steal the amp power. So when he fought the lady with the green hair and the crossbow, she implanted a bug inside his ear, like a little robotic thing. Now this little robotic bug is the size of a dragonfly. How did Alice not feel that going inside his ear? And so so what it is that the more he uses his amp power, the more the brain, the more it's transferred into the doctor's brain. And so that's what he's hoping for. When Alex shows up, the bad people, like, they try to kill the his friends. So he has to like amp it up. And he's been amping it up a lot and stuff, especially when they all team up against him to fight him and stuff. And the doctor realizes, the more and more he uses his amp power, the more it drains him, because he's no longer using it at the thrill of a rush, Now he's using it just like every other, like occasionally and stuff, and casually. So it's like draining him his power to the part where he can barely stand. But then when doctor shows up and Alice realizes, "Oh, you got my amp power," he realized the doctor tells him his master plan. He has this machine that's magnetized, and it's gonna bring a meteorite from the sky and crash and land on the planet, destroying millions. And then in the rubble, he's gonna rebuild and become like ruler of the earth and stuff. And so Alice is all like, "Well, you'll die too, because you'll get crushed, because it's gonna fall down the building and all that." And he's like, and so the doctor, he whips out this armored suit that's really cool looking. And this armored suit is like indestructible. Nothing can hurt it. He can live without like food and water as long as he's in that suit. And so Alex is trying his best like to fight off the dude. And he doesn't really use his amp power, because he really can't. And so, because the doctor also has it too. But in the climactic battle, Alex ends up saving the day by throwing the doctor in the portable beam that the asteroid's coming in. So he reversed it, so where instead of making things come down to Earth, it's going up into space. And that's where the doctor goes. The doctor in the meteorite is going far, far, far off in space. And so Alex greets his friends, and he's talking about the day's been saved and blah 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 and stuff like that. And that's how it ends. I gotta say, it was a really unique and interesting show, and it was really cool. I really love all the action stuff that happened in here, especially when he amps it up. The only problem I really have with this series is I hate the side characters so much. And I mean so much. They're so annoying. Well, the black European dude's pretty cool. He sounds smooth and everything, but he said some of the weirdest things. And his animation is actually the worst. I don't know why everybody else's animation looks good, but his looks bizarre. And so the animation, like I said before, is pretty cool looking. So, it was cutting edge at that time. And, certain movements aren't like fluid as they are today when they do CGI stuff. But, it's a pretty cool show. I just wish they had more and more hand-to-hand action combat. And I don't know why they didn't. Probably because it would have been harder to animate. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.